so you
Right.
just do it that way.
In the year 1966, wait, now let me start again.
That was right.
In the year 1966, I took a second take.
Second take. That has some horrible meaning I'm not catching on to, doesn't it?
Not just the film is seconds.
It is seconds, I know. I had
Took
a second take.
chance at doing it.
Yeah, a second, like you have some food and you want a second.
Yep. Yeah, is that a common phrase in America?
Yes.
Do you want seconds? Yeah,
Yes.
use it in the UK too.
Okay, because I quit taking seconds because I used to be much fatter.
I don't really take seconds. I just take big ass firsts.
That would be a good name for this. Well, that's how you live your life, isn't it? Big ass first.
Yeah. Well, we've got to the message of this podcast right at the start.
Not like,
and let's just
frickin'
take a
Brock
big ass
Hudson.
first.
Hi, it's Matt here.
It's Luke.
It's a sci-fi sanctuary.
What's
And
up?
We're on camera and no one else is on camera. I think it's a first.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we did that Throne of Blood one.
Oh,
Where
right.
it wouldn't really work, so we just looped 5 seconds of footage at each location.
So if y'all were wondering about that, that's what happened.
Matt's gonna edit it, so that pops up on screen here now.
Boop. See it? Fuck you. So today's movie is Seconds, 1966, as you said. It is the third failing bit of John Frankenheimer's trilogy of paranoia.
Okay.
The first being The Manchurian Candidate.
Oh.
The next being, is it 7 Days of May? If I got the wrong number of days of May, sorry, I actually haven't seen that one. But that was the also of success. And Seconds it was a low budget movie that was also a failure, but it is now enshrined in the Library of Congress in America.
Ah. Okay, I've heard of The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah. So this is the same kind of paranoia.
Yeah.
This one actually being a lot trippier. It's a pretty trippy movie. So had you ever heard of it? I mentioned, I was like, I think you mentioned The Manchurian Candidate, and then subconsciously I connected it to Seconds, and I was like, hey, let's do Seconds.
Okay, because I heard of this film 5 days ago, and you told me I was watching it for this podcast.
But you had just mentioned The Manchurian Candidate, so I think
I looked at Manchurian Candidate a while back.
But a few synapses. Well, maybe
Yeah,
it took a few synapses to fire my brain. So,
but that's one I feel like we could probably find like some sort of MK Ultra guy.
This one
even more so. Yeah.
But here we don't have a guest, so
yeah,
I'm the MK Ultra guy, I guess, for this one. I saw. I think so. We were mentioning. This is the first time like you watched it early, and I pulled a Luke and was watching it on the train.
Yep.
And it's got some titty. I was like, oh crap! I can't have titty on the train, which it was a pretty empty train, so it didn't matter.
I've watched a lot of titty on the train.
But one of the big deals of this movie is it didn't have the titty on the train originally. Like,
okay,
the orgy, like they still went to the party and stuff. But
we should clarify: the film doesn't feature any titties on a train. The film features titties, and Matt watched it on
in
a train.
Vineyard.
Yeah. Because there is train scenes in this film, so like people are gonna be watching like, oh, did I see the cut without the titty on the train?
No, if you didn't see the titty on the train, everything's cool. If you see grapes and you don't see titty, you miss something.
If you do see titty on the train, let us know, because there's a version we don't know about with extra titty.
Yeah, but it's 1966, right? It's like you don't put that in the movie, and apparently someone called out and said you don't put that in the movie, which did bug, because that's basically his turnaround, where he sort of kind of starts to not accept his new life, right? Not to get too far ahead, but the main point is, in the late 90s there was a re-release in the theaters, and the big deal was like, oh, here's the unedited version of this movie, and I did go to the theater and see it.
Was that your first time seeing it, or had you seen that?
Oh, at first time. I was like
18,
19, something like that, right? And it was like I went to like lots of art house films at the time. Showed up on DVD a few years later, had another view, and actually after that, it probably just kind of disappeared from my brain for like 20 years. And you mentioned Manchurian Candidate, and like a Manchurian Candidate, hey, let's do Seconds.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I hadn't heard of this. Watched it for the first time a few nights ago. It is a Criterion Collection DVD. It is.
Yeah, it was on archive, and it was if you want to stream it, you might be screwed. That's why I was watching on the train. But it is a real nice print.
Yeah, well, I was watching the archive stream, and it was stopping every 5 seconds. So I downloaded it, watched it on my TV, and it is a nice one, 1080p.
Yeah.
Film.
Real nice looking film. So okay, then your first impression is coming completely cold.
Guess I'm not that familiar with 60s cinema.
Yeah,
because it was a lot more modern than I was expecting.
How so?
This is a well shot film. The camera moves a lot. It's very pacey.
We'll get to a little more, but this is an especially well shot film, which is one of the reasons it's like now like in the Library of Congress.
Yes. It was a film you had to pay attention to, because I wasn't sure You hadn't told me anything.
No,
Took me on a ride.
Yeah, all I said was let's do seconds. I think that's it. And I sent you a link.
It was a good film. It
I think
was
that's the way to watch it.
Is it sci-fi? We'll have to get into that. But yeah, it was. I could see a version of me who wouldn't like this film because it's rich people fucking about having shit problems
that they make for themselves.
Yeah. But also that sense of paranoia and just this sense of this really weird situation and the way it deals with like a sort of imposter syndrome is all very well done. And I was along for the journey and I was feeling things.
Yeah, there's enough things like, because he's basically a rich bastard, right? But you know, he's at least thrown out of his element and has enough existential thoughts that I think many of us have, and he gets them in an especially Kafka ways. So,
and it's not quite like super. It's not like watching Iron Fist, and this is like billionaire problems I'm supposed to care about. He's just a bank manager, like
right,
or even manager. Yeah,
he's a schlub, but a schlub with a bit in his bank account.
Yeah,
that his probably, you know, if you were a successful banker, would you put your money in a different bank?
Oh.
It's like how they say, like, if you go to the whole thing, you go to a barber shop, you ask the guy with the shittier haircut to cut your hair, because.
So yeah, that's the famous riddle, right? Like, there's only two barbers in town. One has terrible hair, one has great hair. Which one do you go to? Like, if I was a good barber and I wanted people to come to me, and I knew the other barber was shit, I would just cut my own hair. So
that's
they're
difficult.
both idiots.
That's difficult. I mean,
shave it then.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't want to be a barber with terrible hair.
That's your solution. Shave it.
Yes. I mean, yeah. So neither of them. I would shave my head is my answer to that riddle.
Okay.
I mean, if I was a banker, I would have killed myself because the bankers are scum.
That's kind of what he does this when he's just a very slow death. I mean, he was ready to kill himself from the start and got a weird way to go about it.
I would imagine that, yeah, to your point, high-level bankers probably don't trust their own bank.
Yeah, because you know what shit goes on
bury
there.
under a mattress.
Yeah.
Well, they go to these Swiss banks that are only for rich people, right?
Yeah.
Which are much more stable because they're not doing any investing. They're just sitting on shitloads of money.
Well, there's a certain amount of success where money seriously doesn't matter. Like, let's take the Beatles, like epic, you know, cultural icons, but in the world of money, probably like mid-level rich at best, right? They never carried money.
Yeah,
they just sign off like a note that said, like, you know, bill it to our people, and that you know,
although Schwarzenegger always carries cash.
That's because he wants to be real, man.
But no, apparently when he first came to America, he was caught without cash, and he's just like, I've never traveled with less than like $1,000 on these since.
I paid $200. I paid $2 on Saturday because I only had $10 in my pocket. And I was like, man, I know if I get it out of the ATM, but what if shit goes down? What if someone suddenly comes down the street and tries to sell me like a 57 Stratocaster for $50, and I don't have the $50, you know?
I can't even remember what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah. Banks.
Yeah.
And money.
This guy's rich, but not like rich.
Right. So I guess we should do a story then.
But yeah, he is. If we're going to ask your Twilight Zone question, did he deserve what he got?
Yeah,
He's
sure.
a bank manager, so yes. It's fine. It's not like when I was doing this to producers and we had one on the podcast. Arthur Hamilton is a middle-aged bank clerk disillusioned with his average life. He receives phone calls from an old college buddy he believes to be dead, offering a second chance at life. Following a mysterious series of addresses, he finds himself at the company. The company, after dragging Arthur and setting him up to sexually assault a woman. Sorry, I just said dragging, not drugging. The company, after drugging Arthur and setting him up to sexually assault a woman so they can blackmail him, give him plastic surgery and a new life as Tony Wilson, eligible bachelor and artist. Wilson's life is parties, drinking, and getting his end away with the beautiful Nora, but once again he finds himself disillusioned. He returns to the company, demanding a third life, but is unable to suggest a new client for referral. Before he can think of someone, the company finds a place for him as the cadaver in another client's fake death.
Ba-chomp.
We get.
So there's lots of fine actors in this movie. Do you know the actors in this movie?
Nope.
Okay, so there is a Rock Hudson that was a pretty major star.
Okay.
In the early 60s, he did the Beach Party movies.
Okay.
So he was the rom-com lead of the early 60s.
Okay.
Women loved him. He wanted to be a little bit. He was not the first choice. I think Kirk Douglas was the first choice for this movie, but I don't think that would work because he looked like an old man when he was like young. Yeah.
because he's meant to look rejuvenated in this. So.
Yeah, I mean, Rock Hudson doesn't look like young in this, but you know,
if it had been fully
manly.
like 13 going on 30 and he'd gone that young, it would look dumb anyway.
Yeah.
He looked like a similar age but in shape.
Anyway, he basically chose this movie because he wanted to try and take on a more dramatic role. So technically he's the least of the actors in this movie is in a certain way as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, taking Zach Braff or something and trying to put him in a psychological thriller.
That is what Zach Braff did in like That Day Career.
Did it work this well?
I know, and no one talks about him anymore, so I guess not.
Okay, because we talked. Okay, Rock Hudson.
There's a great joke in BoJack Horseman where there's a big celebrity party and not BoJack. Zach Braff is running around with his parking ticket saying, "Someone validate me! Someone validate me! I need validation." For the whole episode.
Okay, the other notable thing about Rock Hudson that definitely pertains to this movie is he was gay as shit.
Okay.
And he really only came out because he was one of the first celebrities to die of AIDS in the early 80s.
Huh.
Which also his life weirdly kind of dovetails with this movie a touch. So he was, you know, he was the heartthrob of the early 60s that was hoping some other heartthrob or, you know, folks, I almost said teens. That's probably, I don't want to put that on him. So anyway, that was not what he wanted. So he was like, maybe I can be like a big, you know, dramatic actor. And this movie, it didn't succeed because it was a flop. It was made for like $2.5 million and made like 1.25 million or something.
What happened? Because it doesn't look cheap.
Well, 2.5 is a reasonable budget in 65.
Oh, yeah,
66.
True. I'm thinking 2.5 now is like, okay, it's not like this is an effects heavy.
You could make this one for 2.5 now.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck movies spend money on.
So,
but no, because when we were doing Enemy Mine, you were saying like you could make that for 2 million now.
Yeah, true.
So you could definitely make this for 2 million.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the budget in this was probably for Rock Hudson because he was a big star at the time. And we'll get into it a little more later, but there is quite a bit of like lighting and things that might have actually pumped up the budget more than is obvious.
But that's the thing I don't realize is I think that, well, if I want to make a film set in this room, I would just film in this room. Because I know you have to actually light it and shit. Good cameras don't pick up things the way your eyes do.
I still have a 2-person film script for us, by the way.
Okay. It's like something you wrote in college.
I didn't write it.
Okay. Oh, is this something Scott wrote?
No. Something Andrew wrote. Before he started the podcast, I was like, maybe we'll film this. And then we started podcasting instead. But now I'm like, hey, it's still on my computer. So
these days.
Yeah.
Patreon bonus. Right.
Okay. Anyway.
When I say Patreon bonus, I mean, Andrew, pay us money to make your script.
Or we'll get really bored and do it. But okay.
$50 reward. Matt and Luke will read out a script that you've written.
So just starting out, let's just start with Rock Hudson because you don't know him, but he was the big star here. He's late 80s Travolta, basically. Okay. That's a good analogy for
Wait, so in the late 80s, he's what Travolta is? Oh, he is the equivalent of late 80s Travolta.
Yes. Okay. Like occasionally he shows up in a big film, but nobody takes him seriously. So, and he's in a pretty major director's film here. John Frankenheimer had notable success with those first two. Way later in his career, I think he made Ronin. You ever see Ronin?
Oh no, Ronin. That's the
De Niro
one.
He's in there too. Yeah, that's a good one. Anyway, this is one of the top flight directors. So, how did you take his performance? Just out of curiosity, out of context.
He seemed. Well, but this is definitely deliberate because the previous actor did as well. The two actors playing his character in the film. Just pissed about everything.
Because some of the early critical response on this was the older guy who I guess you'd have to look up as my phone's charging, but a lot of the reviews were like the older version of him was a much better actor.
Possibly, but like most of what he's playing is like a quiet melancholy. True,
he's dying inside before.
Yeah, it is, and he does give quite a subtle performance. I think he does pull it off.
Yeah, no,
it's not. There's definitely not bad acting. This isn't a case of they got a current pretty boy and it turns out he can't act.
But that's exactly what people saw in 1966 when they watched this movie. Is my point.
I think there's often a thing that people just assume that before they even see the performances. Look at Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
people assume you can't take him seriously. He's a really good actor and does really good films.
Right.
but people took a while to accept that that's a possibility. So maybe there was a bit of that going on.
Yeah. With Rock Hudson, it's even a stronger disconnect though, because I mean Twilight like has like emo edge, right? If nothing else. I mean, I'm not like saying like that is a compliment or anything. I'm just saying that's a thing, right? Whereas Rock Hudson's coming from the world of beach party bikini land.
Yeah.
So
John Randolph.
Okay, because
is the original.
Because he definitely was good. So I was like kind of interested in that particular, original.
Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, right.
I believe he's an ape in that.
Okay. He's just, did I see some Manson in there, man?
Serpico.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, Al Pacino. You look like Manson there.
He's in a bunch of stuff, but isn't like he's like a huge superstar.
Yeah. Anyway, he was definitely good as the early version. He was a more Twilight Zone actor.
About to say his performance and just black and white New York suits. I was definitely getting Twilight Zone for vibes there.
Yeah, like in that podcast, I talked about how 25 minutes does seem to be the sweet spot, but this one does drag it out to an hour 47 pretty well. But there's not a whole lot of wasted time here.
Could have been a Twilight Zone.
You could have.
There's not so much incident that you couldn't.
You could have.
They wouldn't have had that paranoia, that feeling.
That atmospherics would have been less. It just would have been like, oh, you made a stupid decision, now you're screwed.
Yeah. They'd have had to make it so that his second life was like actively horrible. Whereas in this version, it's not. Neither life is horrible.
Yeah.
He's just feeling that ennui that we all feel sometimes.
He just makes a complete ass of himself in that perfect life.
Yeah.
Well, perfect with quotation marks.
But I've gotten very drunk and made an ass of myself. I don't need to go and get. Well, I moved to Japan.
That's why you're in Japan, because you got drunk and made an ass of yourself.
Yes, consistently for 10 years.
Okay. While you're on the man in the chair for this one, sorry, but Colonel Sanders, he's only in 2 scenes, right? He's the boss of the company, the founder of the company.
I know who you mean.
Yeah. He's Colonel
Mr.
Sanders
Ruby.
without the beard. Okay, yeah.
Jeff Corey.
Oh no, you are looking at the middleman.
You're thinking of like the surgery guy?
No. I'm thinking about the guy that talks to him, like to finally convince him to take on the second life, and basically make him feel good before he's dragged off to get killed.
I don't think he was the head of the company. He was just like the head doctor or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
No, because he said when I started this, we had a few failures. I thought, oh, maybe I should end it all right now, but there's so much to be done. Anyway, he stuck in my mind. And Nora, our company employee, who the town slut.
There's too many actors, and I can't remember.
Too many actors. Okay, well let's just look at Nora then. How did that one?
Nora is she is legit
because she brings in the hippie vibes, right?
Yeah, for the 60s, it was doing a good job of like. I mean, I guess this wasn't that uncommon, but like a pretty dark, fucked up version of hippie life, like a bit satanic and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, there's
Salome Jens is the actress.
Oh, she's in stuff.
Oh yeah,
I know the name. Okay.
She's in
Green Lantern,
Cats and Dogs, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. Probably she's done a bunch of dumb shit recently. Yeah. So I can't find the good shit that she's presumably been in. I think a lot of voice work though.
It might be Deep Space Nine, honestly. It's leaving the. Got it. Female changeling.
Yeah,
she's the female changeling. Okay.
Worked
it out.
But yeah, she's also done a lot of voice acting.
Wow, that blows my mind.
She was Martha Kent in Superboy.
Okay. Well, that's why I know the name. Okay, but yeah, it's Deep Space Nine that's making the hit there. Anyway, I was actually surprised that the twist was she's works for the company, because she's beautiful, but she does look like somehow a little older. So I thought she was actually going to be another one of the reborns.
She's just appropriately cast to be dating this guy.
Yeah.
Instead of them casting like a 20-something, which if this is deliberately Rock Hudson getting away from, maybe he didn't want them to cast him like a young 20-something starlet.
Oh, he's on Malibu. Don't give him a beach bunny. That's what he's trying to get away from.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah, because she was 31 when this came out.
Okay. So, well, age appropriate if we consider the rebirth.
Well, yeah, she's not age appropriate for that first actor. She was actually the same age as Rock Hudson.
That makes sense. Okay, he was only 31.
Wait, no. She was 10 years younger.
I was about to say he didn't look 30. I mean, he looked younger than the other dude, but he didn't look 31.
Oh, he died young.
Yeah, he died of AIDS.
Oh, right. Yeah, you already told me that.
You know I'm a relative Beach Boy fanatic, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking up the information on this movie, and I actually had not heard the story. Maybe apocryphal, I don't know. But the story is Brian Wilson went to go see this movie in the theater, came late, and when he was walking in the door, probably tripping on acid because this was 1967, heard, "Come in, Mr. Wilson." When he came in the door, got his mind blown in a bad way. Maybe canceled the Smile album. I'm wearing a Pet Sound shirt. I got my Smile shirt in there because I ran out of time and couldn't go to the onsen. But he canceled the Smile album, also for many other reasons. But and didn't see another movie in the theater till E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I really hope that's true. If this movie,
that's excellent.
Yeah. If this movie's gonna shaft you.
The closest I've ever come to that was when I was playing Star Wars Rogue Leader on my GameCube. And most of that game you play as Wedge. But I'd forgotten that in this level I was playing as Luke. And the game says,
"You're always
Luke, do whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, it's talking to me." Oh, Luke Skywalker, right. But I had a brief moment. Oh shit, how does it know my name? This is amazing. This is the future.
I'm a real rebellion pilot.
Well, because most of the spaceship battles, Luke's not there. He's busy messing about saving his dad's soul. They don't do the space battles. You've got to be Wedge.
Right.
Also, Wedge isn't lame. I love Wedge.
Yeah, well, he just doesn't get much appearances unless you're into comic books and stuff.
Yeah.
And those don't count anymore. So Wedge never existed. So I guess instead of characters so much, if we do look at this as a Twilight Zone, I should throw in my question: Does this guy deserve his trip? Which you said as a banker, yes, but as a human,
he chose to be a banker, so yes.
Okay.
But like, the weird thing is, like, they were initially trying to do something good for him in their own fucked up way. But it's a pretty fucked up thing they do for people. But like, he was feeling that I want to escape from this life.
Yeah.
But as he discovers, that's not a problem that exists because of his life. As a problem in him. And relocating to another life won't fix that problem. And that's what happens. He doesn't fix that problem.
But they have him in a vice already. I mean, he's basically, even when he gets to be, hippie love dude, he's still under their control. So if they come and say, "Hey man, next month you're going to run for Senate and you're going to win and you're going to do this."
Yeah.
I mean, that's where thing happens.
But the way they set him up at the start by drugging him, putting him into a compromising sexual position and filming it so it looks like he assaulted a woman.
Now they send you to the on the Lolita Express, right?
Yeah, but that is exactly what they were doing in like 60s MK Ultra shit.
Yeah.
Drugging you up and putting you in sexually compromising positions so they had blackmail material.
Right. I mean, that's not even, you don't even have to put MK Ultra on that. You just get someone whacked out enough, push them in a direction, film it,
Yeah.
You don't Midnight Climax, I'd like to bring up just because that's the best operation name ever.
When they were doing Midnight Climax, they would sit behind a two-way mirror.
Yes, I do.
With a built-in, with a toilet, so they wouldn't have to leave.
Yeah.
You just sit on the toilet and watch.
She's coming, I'm shitting.
Yeah.
No, that's how
she's coming, I'm going.
That's how you become a man of power in the CIA. So but that's the thing, like, I mean, he did choose the path of foul capitalism and became a banker, one that's bored and probably sees it as mostly a mistake.
And again, this is the 60s. It's not like he's a Wall Street shark ruining billions of people's lives.
We don't actually know that he could be.
Yeah, but he didn't have that much money yet.
He's not the president.
Oh, he was still waiting to be manager. Like, he was just doing pretty, I mean, he was refusing loans and shit, so scum, but still.
So well, who else would the company go for? Because he's dragged in by his he's the reference from, what's his name,
his school friend
Charlie. There
Evans,
yeah. So, and I guess Charlie got his third life, or did they just like kill him?
Did Charlie also get cadavered? I can't tell.
But Charlie gave them he sponsored somebody.
Okay.
Is that enough to get him out of the bull pit?
Possibly.
Bullpen? Yeah.
I have no. again, this is because it's 1960s money and I don't understand.
Yeah,
30K doesn't even seem enough to cover all the shit they did.
true.
How are they staying profitable? What is the business plan of the company?
Well, he said 30K for the medical procedures
Hmm.
and the fake documents, and then they took his inheritance and gave a little bit to his actual family members, and the rest was used to set him up. So that does bring up the where does the third one come from if they already spent the money,
Right.
So because I had the island vibe, right, where it's like, oh, you went a trip out of the boring ass office room into
But maybe that's why you have to refer someone else,
yeah,
because actually their money is paying for you. Maybe absolutely everyone needs a third. Maybe no one pulls it off on the second. They need to break something in their brain first before they can do it.
It's a Ponzi scheme fueled by plastic surgery.
Yep. Fully. It's an NFT.
I'm sorry, I had to think about that for 2 seconds.
Because they're a Ponzi scheme.
If I just draw a bunch of pictures, does that mean I can make money?
No, it's no one can make money now.
Okay.
It was a pump and dump and it's over. No one's making money anymore.
Yeah. Money's so 2021.
No, I just mean from NFTs.
Oh, okay. I liked my statement better.
Yeah, great. So we'll get to that in the next film.
Yeah. Thinking about we can say design if you want. I mean, this film, I mean, it doesn't have like you said, it's a sci-fi. There's nothing particularly futuristic looking.
It's just a sci-fi in that I don't think this kind of surgery works that well.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't work that well. But
it's a sci-fi in the way that every single film that has hacking in it is a sci-fi because they just made up how this shit works.
Right, it's medical science being used as science. So,
yeah.
You know, with again, you know, Twilight Zone would have had him just wake up as a different person, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this has the whole company, the weird conspiracies, the shades of MK Ultra, plastic surgery. I mean, there are Twilight Zones with plastic surgery too. But
although if this is sci-fi, that opens the door that we're doing Face Off soon.
What? I thought Face Off was always an obvious hit. You don't even have to convince me.
Yeah.
I was watching this wondering why haven't we done Face Off?
Have we ever done any Nick Cage?
Color Out of Space.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah,
Which you know what? Looking back, I'm like, that is one of the better Nick Cages.
It's a good film. Right?
Yeah. It's you know, we watched. We're like, was it good? I think we liked it. And it's what, almost 2 years later. I'm like, yeah, that was a fucking good movie. So yay, Color Out of Space, which is also taken down off of YouTube because I don't know why.
Oh, album was taken down?
Yeah, it was completely ripped off.
Huh. We didn't use any music or anything.
Nope, just my own.
Probably because they just assumed it was us putting the film up and just took it down.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
you just actually check this shit.
Back to this one. You mentioned looking modern, and especially in the company sets. Cinematographer. I can't remember his last name. It's John Wong, which is an interesting middle name, and then something else. And I just want to, whatever I throw in is not right because I'm just, you know, Wong.
You just cast. I need crew. Bear with me.
You need crew. So anyway, the company sets in particular were apparently like lighted to the hilt, like with just lights everywhere for absolute control of how they could shoot it. So when you see the shadow behind the middleman, you know, it's like absolutely supposed to be there. And
James Wong Howe.
Thank you. Okay, there we go. So yeah, he was at least nominated for something for this one. This movie also did say it received more accolades abroad, like in European film festivals than American awards. Maybe because it does have kind of a French New Wave look.
Yeah, because America's fucking prudes.
Yeah, they didn't want to see titty for some reason. Probably because they got a few dude asses in. But you know, if you want to see titty, you got to want to see a few dudes asses as well.
Yeah. It's another life lesson from this pod.
But yeah, it's a really good looking film. This is one. It was weird. One of the things that came to mind actually was La Jetée, which is all still images.
But it's the kind. It's shot. It's because it's not like it's a fast moving action piece. So your memory is a series of still images.
Yeah.
It's him in this scene and him in this scene and her on that beach and
with some extreme contrast shot. Well, not extreme contrast. I should actually. And now I'm thinking of La Jetée again. but the whole thing.
The only time it gets like visually trippy is when he's being drugged.
Yeah.
And right at the very end when he's having his brain drilled into.
Well, the opening credits. Oh, the opening credits are Saul Bass. He did like the Hitchcock stuff, you know,
Okay.
like North by Northwest and Vertigo, and this has all the warbly weird
zooming right
images.
in on his face and stuff.
Yeah, right at the beginning, all the warbling images. So I mean, you know, there is. I feel like for a black and white movie, this is about psychedelic as you're going to get in a black and white movie, except for maybe Dr. Caligari, which actually is the neurohygiene coming out about this time. So they color tint some of it though. So is it still black and white?
It's not Technicolor.
It's not. But I think one of the reasons this movie did just kind of pop back in my brain is just how good it looks.
It looks great.
Yeah, not many things look better than this. He's got the ultimate, you know, Malibu like bachelor pad.
But we just recorded a podcast yesterday about a film made 30 years after this. It doesn't look better.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Power Rangers. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yes, I will stand. I will put my foot down that Seconds looks better than Morphin Power Rangers.
The movie, at least. Maybe not the Japanese stuff.
Oh right. Let's give Toho. Is it Toho? It's not
No,
Toho.
it's not Toho. But no, I don't think it's related to like any Godzilla people. Because Ultraman is from the effects guy who made Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
But then this is just unrelated, I think.
Yeah. They're on the same country. Must all be the same thing.
There is an Ultraman versus Kamen Rider crossover, which I kind of want to see.
One thing, they had a lot of faith. I guess they knew he was going to screw up, or they had a lot of faith in his artistic talent, or there's like whatever, maybe it'll work out. Which of those three options?
Once you're a big enough artist, you can just do whatever the fuck you want, and everyone agrees that it's art.
That's true.
Like look at Picasso. He started off doing photoreal shit, and then he just did Picasso shit. Like
I do like the Picasso shit better though.
Yeah, I like it, but it's like talent is just a made-up thing. Once people have agreed that you're an artistic genius, you can do what you want.
Well, that's your point. Once you're established, it doesn't really matter. Just shit on the canvas, it'll be good to go.
Also, like modern art is just a fucking money laundering scheme.
Yeah.
If you're a famous name, then they will buy your art for millions so that they can move their ill-gotten gains around their accounts. It's all
don't worry, we'll let you keep 5%. It's a lot of money. 5% is a lot of money in this case.
Yeah.
Just live with it, man. CNN will say you're a billionaire and you're just a millionaire, G. Who are the artists these days? There's Banksy.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I don't know.
Silence.
My friend Sawada drew this Digimon for me.
Well, that's nice. I like it. I'm just sitting here like who like in the 60s.
Like,
who do you have? Is there Picasso still kicking around? You have Dali still kicking around. Warhol's
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, there was
Warhol was going to bring up is around that. Pollock
was still.
But yeah, there's just you do whatever the fuck you want, and apparently it's art. So,
so the point is,
I was going to say like most artists are not known in their time, are they?
Warhol was a household name. Picasso was a household name. Dali was. Those guys were household names in the 60s. So I just feel like, I mean, I'm like sitting here trying to chomp at if there's anything farther. And
Rob Liefeld.
No, I was just kind of
as a modern artist who's
Todd
McFarlane. There you go. That's some fucking artists for you.
Well, I was just saying that the comic book artists don't quite count because it's. I mean, and Warhol's pop art, right? Yeah. Seconds. This is actually a Hollywood system movie. Is it art or pop art? Because it's definitely coming from the pop art system, but it has some art touches, you know, like new wave stuff. So,
I mean, that whole argument is bullshit.
It is,
but also like Hollywood system in 1966 is not MCU in 2021, right? Like it's a different argument.
I guess my main point is this does seem more like a new wave film, like Alphaville or something.
But maybe that's why it wasn't successful out the Hollywood system, is because it wasn't.
Yeah, have you seen the original Manchurian Candidate?
A long time ago.
I mean, it does have a lot in common with this film, like stylistically, but it is a little less up its own arse. And I'm not calling that to insult this film. It's I like the way it's up its own arse. Ooh, but
like in this film, it's. Like, does Manchurian Candidate have a likable protagonist? Does it have someone to root for?
Got Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, but like in this film, like the protagonist is played by a good actor or whatever. Character is a cunt.
Yeah,
every character in this is horrible.
Right, but people were supposed to come in like I like you, Rock Hudson. You were my rock for this movie. While
but
I watched
before he's Rock Hudson, he's a different actor.
Yeah,
and that guy is not particularly likable.
No.
and then he just turns into a cousin and continues to be not likable.
Yeah.
So like it's not a film about like, oh, here's this guy in a scrape, what's he gonna do? It's from like, what the fuck is happening here? What's your problem, bro? I don't know. It's not as easy to sell, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just like it's like he made the right choice to do this, but it's also kind of the wrong choice.
Well, it's the wrong choice to do it this way. You can, like, we bring it up all the time, but me and you have both just decided to reinvent our lives at one point. That's why we're now met each other in Nagano. But, you know, there's good ways to be like, I'm dissatisfied with life, I need to make a big change. And that is not have someone die in your place.
Right. Well, their suggestion is that, you know, like, oh, they're just procured, they're already dead, which
we find out I don't think that's true, because that's not what they do to him. So.
That's why I'm wondering what actually happened to Charlie too. It's like, even if you sponsor somebody, maybe like you know, they're gonna strap you down and drill a hole in your brain anyway. So
yeah.
So yeah, I guess that brings up like the amount of evil for the company. Well, because you were like, they're trying to kind of help you up. I'm sitting here thinking, man, they just seem rank shit. And they're called the company.
Well, I think they're deliberately left quite unknowable. So we can see some of what they're doing, but we don't know any of what their motive is.
Right.
Are they doing this just to people who request it? Or are they doing it, like you suggested, to have people in positions that they control?
Yeah.
Do they just, we need an artist who we've got complete control over when we want to do something in whatever conversation, and we need a guy in this position who, like you said, we're going to make him senator when we need someone.
I mean, because you blackmail people in real life, right? So
yeah,
you know, like at this point in time, and that's why it's so wild. Rock Hudson's a star here. Like in the 60s, all it did was like, you assaulted a woman or you're gay. That's all it took.
Yeah.
Now it's down to like, you're diddling kids, right?
If you assault a woman, it's still
that is
canceled for a bit.
Sorry, I shouldn't start out that being gay. I mean, nobody cares. Well,
right.
Anyway,
no one should care.
No one should care.
But in the 60s, a lot of people did. Even more than that.
Well, exactly. That's why Rock Hudson was like staunchly in the closet making its movie.
In Japan, it's just like, even if you're heterosexual, you're just sexually active, you're cancelled.
Yeah, with the J-pop
you do
stars.
A weed.
You have a boyfriend or girlfriend. It doesn't matter how the genders are working that way, but you're screwed because you signed a contract. I will not date.
And then there's just like, if you are remotely associated with drugs, you're just blacklisted, and like, you know, half the musicians in America are selling it.
Yeah. And in this case, they're basically throwing all these folks into like a gated community with each other. Because at the party, when he does just get rip ass drunk and starts like shouting about who he really is.
Well, that's why I suggested that actually their plan is that everyone has to do it again. Because he was in a community surrounded by people like him. This was just the test life. And then like, they know he's going to fuck it up. So they know they can get him to refer someone before they give him a third.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe if he had referred someone, then he would just go into his third life like everyone else.
Yeah. But well, it's not clear if those are just, I mean, how much can you just grin and bear it in that situation? Because you've been confronted with this company that obviously has like, it's pretty long tendrils. So
yep.
That's why this is part of a paranoia trio, I guess.
Yeah. There's powers beyond his control and understanding.
Right.
Messing with him. He's not just the Twilight Zone, I guess, wouldn't have gone down that angle. The 25-minute version of this story.
It would have been a much.
It would have been more on the nose.
It would have been good. I would have been on my podcast saying this is a great episode, but there is something to this movie really dragging out the atmospherics and really setting in with the paranoia, and keeping in mind that we do spend the first 25 minutes with Arthur, right? So you know, the change is rather jarring. Where in the Twilight Zone, would be in the first 2 minutes, right?
Right. Yeah.
So as
they wouldn't change the actor and they do like a quantum leap reflection thing a couple of times.
Yeah. It's good Scott Bakula never ended up in this life.
Maybe he did.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he never got with the misspelled name. So watching this from modern eyes, it was a flop when it came out. Seems to have gained some steam since then. What kind of film do you feel like you're watching here?
I wouldn't say it's the sort of film where it's like I want to see sci-fi. It's a thriller.
It is a thrill at the end, but I guess one of the images that really makes it sci-fi, I mentioned La Jetée before, where we got the guy with like maxi pads on his eyes, right? Was traveling through time, whereas this guy's like wrapped up in bandages.
Yeah, like the Invisible Man sort of look.
Yeah, I mean that goes on the posters, right? So that feels a little sci-fi. The whole company complex really does feel. I mean, it is an office, but I think of like 1984 or something when he's in that.
I was going to say, before I completely understood what was going on, the film I was having in my brain through my head was Adjustment Bureau.
I've only seen it once, but I can see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, just like it's got the trappings of very generic city office men in suits with hats, but it's not quite normal. It's not quite a normal business. Something weird's going on.
Yeah, the atmosphere in that office is really freakish. What do? They just go to bunk rooms on site every night, or what?
No idea.
But that had a very Orwellian vibe. So yeah.
When he first arrives and they were just like doing whatever it is they're doing, just listening to the radio and recording the newspaper or whatever.
And no one's willing to talk to him at all because they're like, we've been through this too many times.
Yeah, that was all very bizarre.
Yeah. So things like that push it to me to at least, I think if you go onto IMDb or whatever, it says it's a psychological
horror / science fiction.
Yes.
I think it probably is what you would call it.
That is a good description. So sure, why not?
If you want to get into genres, which is a boring conversation.
Because I was about to say, like, even the horror aspect, I feel like it's more sci-fi than horror.
Yeah.
Of course, again, my videos.
It's an existential horror. It's not like, oh, they're gonna get him, even though they do get him.
I guess there is some body horror, especially if you're not down with plastic surgery. Oh, and at the end, just getting a hole in your head. That's Ghostbuster Egon's dream, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, he wanted to drill a hole in his head.
Oh, I don't remember that line.
Okay, there's something about that in Ghostbusters.
I just thought it was a dark fucking joke about Harold Ramis.
No, no.
Yeah,
I don't think Harold Ramis, didn't he just like pass away of natural causes? So. Okay, Harold Ramis did not want to drill his hole in his head. Egon did. Okay.
Art from artist.
Right. Got to separate those things. But one of the things in this movie is not separating the art from the artist, so it's a kind of contradictory place to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I really do think knowing more about Rock Hudson's life and career really kind of deepens this movie, because he was still a relatively young man who was basically hiding most of himself and himself probably hoping he could like jump into a second life of some kind.
Yeah.
Doris Day. I think he did a bunch of movies. Doris Day. I think that's what it is. You know Doris Day?
I know Doris Day.
Okay. So hung out with her.
I've met the Doris Day of Dropping Trowel.
Yes, you did. Any final thoughts on this one?
If you're like me, this comes up a lot, where you're the young guy and not the 40-year-old film nerd. I hadn't heard of this, but I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah. I mean, this is like I think the first time I saw this was like at the university, like art house film theater where sometimes I had to run the projector. So,
I mean, could it be ruined by knowing the twists? I don't think so. I think it's still worth watching for that atmosphere that it has.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with the projector now.
Project?
No, I wouldn't know how to do anything with it, but I used to. That's kind of freakish. Okay.
Well, maybe if you had one in front of you, it would come back.
Maybe. I don't know. Because I didn't do it that many times. So just enough to, like, someone showed me I did it, it worked, and I was like, cool. So now I'm like, man, I did that. Now I don't think I could. So
I mean, I guess I probably couldn't like replace the cash at the self-service checkout at the supermarket I used to work at.
Yeah, but it's cooler as a film projector.
Yeah, I'm very glad that that's not in my head anymore.
I'd like to. I mean, who shows film anymore, right?
I'm just watching the TikToks on their phones.
Them TikToks, you gotta watch. You gotta get the 8mm like spools of TikToks and watch those.
If I could buy an 8mm spool of Vines, I would watch it.
That should be a thing. Yeah. Okay. So hey, anyone out there?
Our $50 Patreon level, me and Matt would read a script for you, but our $100 level will make you a 8mm film full of Vine
or TikTok. You can choose.
No.
What?
We're not doing TikTok.
I don't even know what TikTok is because I'm old.
I'm slightly old. So I hate TikTok because it's not Vine.
Okay, see, I'm older, so I don't even know what it is. Okay, what are we? Oh, we're a message coming to my phone.
Yeah, your phone's making messages this whole time. You know, put it on
Oh,
silent.
well, you do the thing. I want to see what the messages say.
This is Matt Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary. You can find it on Twitter at MLSFS133, or on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search Matt Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary wherever podcasts are found. If you want to help keep this podcast online, make sure you go to patreon.com/podcastia. Throw us $1 a month to help cover them bills.
Towels on your carpet, wet umbrella. Oh, it's my wife complaining.
Did you put your wet umbrella on the carpet?
And she wants me to wipe the windows in the morning because they're wet. But then I left the wet towel on my floor apparently. Oops.
Yeah. Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this podcast because we're about to do it a second time.
Hi, welcome to Matt Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary, where we that's not even the right intro.
No, that's not how we do this podcast. I'm Luke.
And you're the year 2072.
You know what I fucking hate? The banks. You know what I like doing? Shagging birds and shaving my head.